Hello, I'm Henry Begigia from Liberty Mutual's Office of Sustainability. Thank you for joining me for another episode in our Partners for Progress video series, where we meet Liberty Mutual sustainability champions and the external partners helping us make progress on our journey. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Rakhi Kumar, one of my colleagues here at Liberty. She's Senior Vice President for Sustainable Solutions and Business Integration. And Sonia Gibbs. Sonia is Managing Director and Head of Sustainable Finance at the Institute of International Finance, also known as IIF. Today's discussion will focus on the role that sustainable finance can play in advancing the climate transition. So my first question to you, Sonia, is tell us a little bit more about IIF and the mission that your organization has.
We're something of a cross between a think tank and an advocacy and research type of a trade association. We've got 400 members across all different parts of the financial sector all around the world. And one thing I'd note is that more than half of our members are from emerging markets. So we're sort of acutely aware of how important this transition is.
And so Rakhi, as I listen to Sonia, makes perfect sense, right? That Liberty would seek to partner with an organization like IIF.
Sonia talked about how international their membership is. And if you think about it, when it comes to the climate issues, et cetera, you really want a diversity of thought for a more pragmatic approach. And they bring that common global voice to the table in discussions, which I think is invaluable.
The climate transition is something that maybe not everyone exactly knows what it means. So for our viewers, why don't we start there, Sonia, and just broadly define for us what we mean by the climate transition and how we need to really meet this moment, because there is an urgency to this.
It's a global problem, but the solutions have to be local, because everywhere around the world, if you are in Singapore, if you are in Alabama, if you are in sub-Saharan Africa, your climate issues, your climate vulnerabilities, your pathway to getting to lower carbon emissions, ultimately to what we hope for is a net zero emissions economy, is going to be different. And obviously this is much easier said than done. When you think about transition, it's kind of in two parts, right? So you get your targets down on paper, you plan for your transition, but much more importantly is to take this plan and translate it into real financing, because at the end of the day, transition costs money.
What are the ways that the financial services industry is seeking to advance this transition?
It's kind of like an ecosystem, right? You need good government policies in place. You need public finance of the type that comes from the World Bank, from multilateral development banks, traditional development finance. But none of that is really enough. And the conversation now is, how do you mobilize private capital through all different types of financial firms?
So if you double click down a bit, Rakhi, what is the role that the insurance industry plays in this whole ecosystem?
When we look at the climate transition, we think of it as a socioeconomic transition of our generation, right? So it's the entire economy has to change because of the way it's going to get powered. What we do best is risk identification, risk mitigation, risk transfer. So if you actually are to bring in insurance upfront in the planning process, we can actually help mitigate some of this risk, helping increase the pace of adoption, implementation, operationalization. So I think there's a key role the insurance industry can play in de-risking the energy transition. That's why we created the Climate Transition Center, to share those thoughts and to bring diverse thoughts.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because that highlights a key feature of how these partnerships can be effective. So getting together with a company like Liberty Mutual, IIF, and thinking about how to convene the right folks around the table to have the right conversations.
It's incredibly important, because at the end of the day, whether you're a regulator, a supervisor, a standard setter, a financial firm, a household, we're all trying to solve the same climate-related problems. And the more that you promote good policies, the more institutions and organizations around the world kind of buy in, So I think that's the promoting consensus. And that's a key value of having partnerships like this one.
There are a lot of voices here. Some can get drowned out. So how do you, Sonia, sort of ensure that all the voices that need to be at the table are included and heard?
One of the things we think about a lot is what you might call a just or an equitable transition. There needs to be a change in the way that people work and live. And it's our job as the financial services sector to make sure that that can happen appropriately and in a fair way. And that also means that government policies have to be in place, right? The financial sector can't do it alone.
And Rocky, as I listen to Sonia, this really aligns with Liberty Mutual's identity and values, right?
The work that we're doing perfectly aligns with our belief that progress happens when people feel secure. So climate is an overwhelming issue. It actually impacts lives and communities. And when people lean into the risk and understand the risk, and you have a partner like Liberty helping you understand that risk and manage it, people feel more secure. They can take action.
We share this planet. We need to make sure that, again, we're all pulling in the same direction. So thank you both.
Thanks, Henry.